Now that we finished the perimeter of the cut, we're going to go into the interior. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to do a 1-inch profile parting. This will be our first guide. Most of the time it's really going to be closer to a 3/4 of an inch. But we call it 1 inch just for ease. Reclip the sides out of your way. And turn your mannequin around. And if you're right-handed, you will stand on the right side of your mannequin. If you're left-handed, you will stand on the left side. We need to cut from the forehead to nape. Begin combing your hair, distributing it at 90 degrees from the head shape. You're going to pull this hair straight up on top of the section. And if you notice in the front, to be parallel to the head shape, it's going to appear angled, but that is a true 90. Right here in the front, here's our guide from our perimeter, and that's where we're going to begin cutting. We definitely need to measure the full length of our comb. And then we will begin cutting the layers. So here we go. Measure the full length of your comb and begin cutting to your second knuckle and stop. You can drop about a 1/2 inch out and add a 1/2 inch, but I want you to keep the full length of your fingers in there so you have control over that. Drop out a 1/2 inch, work your way back through the section. Be very careful around the crown of the head because you will tend to go a little shorter because most people's crowns will flatten out. We're going to keep the mannequin upright when we first begin doing this haircut so we don't have to worry about where she is in the room. As you go on and learn this, you will be able to tilt the head, but for now I'm going to bend my body work my way through this haircut. Keep it rounded, parallel to the head shape. Always measure, and only cut to your second knuckle. And then you see your guide down here on the bottom. See how that measured up? So I could go back through, measure everything to ensure I feel like the front maybe I need to cut just a little bit more after I checked it right through here. Okay. Now we reestablish your profile part. So you're splitting that 1 inch profile in half so you have a piece of the guide on either side. Now that we have done that, we will do our second guide in the interior. And we're going to call that a 1 inch radial. So we're going to comb this hair down like we're putting it into a low pigtail area, and we're going to put our 1 inch radial right from the crown at a diagonal, and it's going to encompass the ear. So your 1 inch radial, flip everything around out of your way. We're going to do the same thing on this side. Be sure it's continual across the crown of the head. So if you notice, I have 1 inch going across. It encompasses the ear on each side. I'm going to begin on the back left. I will stand behind the doll to cut this because I want to begin cutting at my guide and working my way down. Hold this at 90 degrees, measure, and cut. Drop out a 1/2 inch, add a 1/2 inch. Pull that out at 90 degrees, measure, and cut to your second knuckle. Now our ear is a recession and we do not want to have a huge gap in our perimeter when we're finished, so we're going to slightly over direct that up. You will see a short point here and short point here. So if we slightly over direct that up, that will keep us from cutting a huge hole in our perimeter. Now when we cut the right side of our mannequin, we're going to stand in the front of her so we can continue cutting from our center guide all the way down. Okay, get your center guide, hold it at 90, you see the guide here, measure, and begin cutting. Measure. Our last one, you're going to slightly over direct it up and cut it. You can go back through and measure this whole section all the way around the head, and it should be the same length of your comb. Okay, we reestablish a radial part, and split our guide in two. So now I have a piece of the guide in each section. So if you look at once we have our 4 quadrants back, we have a guide here, we have a guide here, and we also have a guide around the perimeter. So if you look at that 1 quadrant, there's guides all the way around. So now all we have to do is go back and we're going to begin cutting the interior. And stop.